Hello YouTube, welcome back from my stoop. My stoop today being my swimming pool. I'm sitting on my swimming in my on the steps of my swimming pool. It's hot. I think I saw 37 or 38 degrees Celsius. Yeah, so we need a little bit of rain. No, where is my lighter now? Anyway, I'm having my what shall I call it? My potluck blend or tin dottle blend. Someone made a video asking what do you do with tin dottle. Those last few tobacco strips in a tin which does not fill a bowl. I usually throw them in one container, and every now and then I just taste them and try and see what can I add or make it better, or so I call it my tin dottle or my potluck blend. What I want to I haven't got my lighter here, so please excuse me to just fume this thing a bit. So today I would like to discuss the South African election system based on some questions and comments that I received from you from my previous video, and thank you for that. That was really nice and informative. And Defiant Piper made a video response and explained the American election system a little bit better, so thank you for that. That really made me understand a little bit more. And there was great comments on that video, so thank you for that. I was afraid that we shouldn't talk about politics in the community because we do differ, and no one is right and no one is better than the other one. But I try to ask the questions that I would wanted to know, very neutral, and it seems that I did manage to do that, so I'm glad about that. But someone asked me, and I haven't got my computer close to me now to see exactly who it was, but I'll put it on a note. Someone asked me, so how does the South African election system work? So I'm not necessarily a constitution fundi, although I do like Defiant Piper. I do like politics, and I do like to know and to understand these things. So I'll tell you how I understand it, and if it's wrong, then someone might be able to correct me. Before 1994, we had a Westminster political system, albeit at that stage, obviously not everyone included. All black people were excluded from the voting process. But it was still a Westminster system where you were elected as a member of parliament for a specific town or region or things like that. And you were kind of what's the word? Not responsible, accountable to your voting district. And then since 1994, when we became a democracy, a full democracy, with Nelson Mandela being the president, we elected, or out of the negotiations, a new system evolved. I need to get my lighter. So, 1 second, please. Right, thank you. Oh, and I need to, maybe before I continue with the South African election system, I just want to tell you that I met up Tuesday evening. I met up with Christo Smith. I was in Pretoria for a meeting, and one of my subscribers and someone who I communicated with email quite a bit lives in that region, so I phoned him up and I said, well, I'm here, so why don't we get together and meet each other officially, personally. And it was a great evening, and we had a very nice chat on all kinds of things, and we shared tobacco, and it was just awesome. But the nicest thing that was to me was that when he arrived, he presented me with a brand new Charlatan pipe that he bought for me in Spain. So I was, again, I've said it many times, and I don't want to, make it a cliche, but the generosity of the piping community is overwhelming, really. So he brought me this new Grosvenor Charlatan. So yeah, I had to share that with you. That was really amazing. Anyways, yeah. So to get back to the South African system, so out of the negotiations, we then constituted a parliament of, I think there's about 400 delegates, but not representatives of specific areas. And I think that is, if we ever need to, we've got an awesome constitution. But I think when we need to change our constitution or our voting thing, I would love to see one change, and that is to make our representatives more representing areas or towns or districts or whatever you want to call it, but not just at random. Because one thing that I'm missing is the accountability back to the people who votes you in. Nevertheless, so what happens is every party will then submit before the election the top 400 list of their, of the organization. And then according to the votes received, they will then allocate, if you won 200 of the 400, your first 200 will be in Parliament, and the first one, or the leader of the party, will then be, the president. Not necessarily, still being voted as president, but I mean, if I'm the leader of the party and I've got the majority in Parliament of my members, they will not propose anyone else than me. So it's kind of a no-brainer, but it's still an elective process in Parliament for who will be the president and the deputy president. But yeah, so those people will then be allocated to Parliament according to the list that was being submitted to the Independent Electoral Commission to who will be then in Parliament. And in terms of us as public, we vote for two. Now I can't remember if it's 2 or 3, but either way, you've got. so you get your on voting day, you go to the ballots, and then you can vote for your national government. That will be who will be the president and the majority in parliament, and running the country basically. But then you also have another ballot paper with provincial members. So we've got 9 provinces, being Gauteng, Mpumalanga, Limpopo, Western, Eastern, Southern and Western Cape, Northern Cape, etc. And apart from the national government, you can also vote then for provincial government. And the reason for that is that your province, there are things that the provinces can implement and can do because it's more regional based than the national government. For example, in KwaZulu-Natal, which is mainly Zulu, traditional Zulu people, they would like to, to define certain things. For example, the language and the cultures and things in their area, which is not applicable to, let's say, Limpopo, where it's more Sotho and Venda, maybe, or Shangaan, so there are certain areas that you can implement certain things that are more regionally based than national based. Although the regions are never, obviously, I think, you can never regionally implement something that is contra or in opposition to the national government policies. Right, so then you have the opportunity on the same day to vote also for national and for provincial. And the provincial is then the provincial head. The same principle happens. There's a list being submitted of who are the let's say 100 top 1, 2, 3 to 100 officials, and according to the votes that each provinces will receive, then so many people will then be in the provincial legislature or parliament, and the leader of the winning party is then also elected by that provincial legislature and called a premier. The premier then will also have members of executive committee, MECs, which is kind of like a minister, but I think you call them Secretary of State, for example, is minister, I think, but they will be called MECs, which then is accountable and responsible for departments in the provinces like education or health or whatever. And the same in national. National will also have then ministers for health and education, and so you've got, and it's possible, for example, to vote for Party A for national government, but Party B for provincial government. I've done it in the past, and I because I was thinking about it. It might be not that bad idea to have one party as the national government, but maybe another party as the provincial government. And we've got an example. The ANC is the national government, running the national government, but the Democratic Alliance is running the Western Cape Parliament. And obviously there will be difference of opinion of how successful it is or not, but that's the fact. The local people voted the DA in as their provincial government, and they're happy. It works. So in short, I think that is basically how our system works. And as I said in the beginning, the one thing that I miss is the responsibility or the accountability back to the people, because our system makes it possible for people in Parliament to do and say what they want, because they've got no accountability to people. And the flip side of it is, when you are voted by district or by people, and not according to the top 400 seniors or people on the list, because that opens up room for buying positions. Then, if I'm a member of parliament for my town, White River, I need to make sure that I provide and fight for the things that White River needs to be said and to be fought for. So now there's no accountability, and they can vote even against their conscience because there's no accountability. While when you're region or district or town based, and your town tells you we do not want A, B or C to happen, or to be president, or to whatever, then you will have to be accountable to that or leave the party. So yeah, I think if there's one improvement, that would be, to me, quite a nice improvement. And secondly, I do believe, especially in our country where, it's still a young democracy, it's still a very, there's still a lot of distrust between people, since the apartheid that ended. I still think that, having one party running the government, the national government, but another one running the provincial government could be a very, very good checks and balance kind of thing. The one will, it could bring that balance, which we might not have when one party controls everything or close to everything. I do think if our voters would be able to realize the benefits and the checks and balances that might happen when there's a different provincial parliament than the national parliament, it might be actually good for our country. But yeah, that is basically how it works. It's not very difficult in that sense. And then we've got a third level of parliament, and that is the municipal level. And for some reason, I think it was just purely a timing issue. For some reason, the municipal elections is also every 5 years, but not the same time as the national and provincial. For example, we had this year our municipal election, while we will only have 2019 our national election. But the municipal election works kind of on the same principle. Submit a list of your top X amount of candidates, and people go and vote for a town municipality and for a district municipality, and they then control and run the municipal. Now, obviously, municipal elections and municipal governance is much more closer to the people and to provisioning of basic services and to the people. So that's actually a very important piece of our three-tier government, which I think a lot of people don't really realize. Yes, the national government can provide, the direction and the policy that we will follow, but the implementation of services to people on the ground level in townships and in terms of water and electricity and things happens at the municipality level. And as I was saying, that if two different parties control the national parliament level, I think even so much more if different parties manage the municipal level. It can actually be a very, very good thing for our democracy in terms of checks and balances, to force people to provide the services that people on the ground level should receive in terms of government policy. Now, every province has got a minister and MECs. And also a legislature or a chamber where decisions can be taken. So a provincial legislature will be able to make legislative laws which concerns that province. Again, not contradicting any government policy, but for example, maybe roads and how the local money will be distributed to different departments, and priorities in terms of things that needs to happen. So those kind of things. Government would say improve economic growth. Provincial will say, okay, so how can we improve economic growth? By doing A, B, and C. In our region, for example, Mozambique is just close to us. So the Mozambique corridor is an important economic development project, which doesn't, Northern Cape would not be able to benefit or to do anything about it. So those kind of things, then the provincial legislatures will have power to allocate money and to decide about it and to run that project. So yeah. Coming to think of it, our electoral system is actually quite easy. Oh, another disadvantage of the non-representative style of members for parliament is that they will rarely go against the leadership of the party. So voting for your conscience, I don't think it happens. If the party say we agree on this law, they will agree on it, whether they approve it or not. Obviously, in terms of deciding those kind of things, there are a lot of processes which I think basically we've got committees of parliament where the work is done. So I think most of the debates and most of the issues are being solved in committees where all parties sit. So by the time that decisions are taken to Parliament, they are actually already been discussed and addressed, and research been done to such a level that in Parliament level is actually everyone will know what it is all about. Maybe only the other committees that's not involved will have an opportunity to contribute to the discussion. But the committee system will have actually the most impact, because in the committee system, that is where issues will be discussed thoroughly every year. For example, the Committee on Health will evaluate the health department's success rates or effectivity, or the way they reach the people of the country or not, and the same with all the other departments. So in the committees, the real work has been done. But yeah, that's how our system works, and it's been controlled and run by the IEC, the Independent Electoral Commission. It's an electoral commission who must make sure that the elections are fair and justice has been done. And basically, I think our election processes are kind of fine. You will rarely find that the two leaders of parties would attack each other. The other thing is we've got more than two parties. Now we've got anyone who's got 100,000 votes or signatures can form a party. It will cost you a little bit of money, but you can form a party and then fight your own issues. But rarely we will find that the two major parties would attack each other on integrity and character. It's more it's normally more on your policy did not work for these reasons, and that's why we're going to introduce another policy. The only time I would say when integrity attack does happen is when there is corruption or possible corruption involved, which I think is kind of normal. Yeah, what's that? So friends, thank you for watching, and thank you for all your comments and participation, and I'm going to enjoy this pipe and this water for now for a while because it's kind of hot, but yeah, enjoy your day. And I've got a few video topics that will interest you, and that might be very, very, very controversial, but I'm still thinking about them, but they might be coming up soon. But this video is now getting very long, so thank you for watching. Please subscribe and please enjoy your smoking, and bye-bye.